In this video, I want to talk about two terms that I hear all the time that are just really abused: critical thinking and open minds. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal stuff. The interpretation, I'll get back to it. My name is Dan Paulson. Everyone, welcome to the channel. I've been off doing other things and taking care of some other stuff, but at the same time, it's springtime kind of stuff. At the same time, I've been having conversations on places where they're conversations actually with Christians that come to channels who are looking to fight with the channel content creators. I look for a certain kind of people there that are not militant, but that I can try to hook in with. And it's just because I want to keep talking with Christians about what's in the Bible. They don't know how to read that. They don't see Jesus as a Buddha. They see him as a returning savior. So they've got something going on that I always try to teach them. There's something different in their material. But the terms come up really severely the open mind and critical thinking. They're using the terms, and I've been told before that because I don't believe in God, that I have a closed mind. And you know what? Let's use some critical thinking and talk through that. And let's find out what really is an open or closed mind and what critical thinking really looks like. Now, the first thing, I don't mind going on record as saying that Christians abuse terms like nobody. They grab anything from anywhere and use it as if it's theirs, and they use it incorrectly. Critical thinking and an open mind are two of those terms. Let's do a thought experiment. Let's pretend we've just discovered life on another planet and we've got the capability to observe them, and we're watching and we want to make contact because it's like, well, maybe we're similar or something like that. For whatever reason, we want to make contact with them and let them know, hey, we're out here too. There's more, yay, the brotherhood of the universe. But the first thing you're going to do is watch. You don't know what are they going to be like? Are they dangerous? How do they act? What do they believe? And after a while you watch and you see, wow, as I look all around this planet, there's different colors, there's different people, there's different beliefs, there's different ideas, there's different attitudes. There's all kinds of variation. Wow, there's a lot going on this planet. I'd like to figure it all out. Then you go down there and you finally make contact with somebody and they say, we're the only people that you need to see. We know what's going on and nobody else does. And meanwhile, you've looked and realized this person's never left their home. They don't even know what's out there. They haven't studied it. They just believe what they believe to a fault without even knowing something else. I would not look at that person and say, you have an open mind. I would say, why do you believe what you believe, and dismiss other things? That's a closed mind. If you're open-minded, you would want to hear, you'd want to learn, you'd want to listen, you'd want to grasp it. That's an open mind. But you have been watching things from space for a long time, so long that you realize that from these variations and these cultures and these differences, that at random times you can grab people out of one place and relocate them somewhere else, and they will grow up as if they came from the new place and not the old place. They became products of what they learned. You saw that. Okay, so just to bring this home, I'm going to use myself as an example and not other people. I know their terms. I know what they use, and I know that they will say I don't have an open mind, but they do because they believe in something. And I'm going to argue through thought experiment that as we go through there, we're going to see something else emerge. Number one, if you believe in something supernatural, where did you get that from? I know already you did not find that on your own. If there was a group of humans on an island someplace, completely isolated, had no knowledge of the outside world, no Bibles or anything like that, no books, they would not come up with Abrahamic religion. That's not coming from outside. That's coming from here, and it came from 3,500 years ago as a derivative of Babylonian works to begin with. So to hold on to something like that and say, because I was raised here and because this is what I was given and I like the sounds of it, that I believe this, and I've been told that all of those things are evil, I believe that. That's not critical thinking. You didn't check for yourself. You're just doing what you're told. That means you don't have an open mind. An open mind says, I'm going to go see for myself. Don't tell me what it is. I mean, I'm talking about the spiritual world, not, there's a flood over there. Don't go. It'll sweep you away. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. When people are telling you about what spiritual reality is and supernatural reality, and they cannot demonstrate anything to you, you're going to keep looking. if you're somebody with an open mind. As soon as you say, I like the sounds of this, I'm going to grasp onto this right here, believe it, and shut out everything else, your mind just became closed at that point. So the believer that something is there, or the believer that nothing can be there, although I'm closer to the atheist, I have looked and looked and looked. I see energy. I see brains. I see how things work in the universe. I see how things transfer. There's nothing supernatural. And that doesn't even make sense. We have physical laws of the universe. To claim supernatural is to really say that something is existing inside of the universe that doesn't have to abide by the physical laws of the universe. It's something that, that's just making stuff up. You can't demonstrate it. That's a closed mind. And it's not reasonable to think that it's an open mind. An open mind says, I don't know. An open mind says, I do. I definitely see evolution. That's been proven. Okay, people that say it's not proven, it's sorry, you're just lying to yourself. It is proven. We know evolution is in progress. At least step to a point where you sound intelligent and say, in the beginning, God created evolution or something. Go somewhere smart with it. Don't just denying that is that kind of disqualifies somebody to have a conversation, as far as I'm concerned. That's a closed mind. And I'm not going to discuss evolution here. It's a known fact. So I'm open-minded to that. Now, there are Christians who do say that. They go, there is evolution, but there's not abiogenesis, that there had to be a created point, that there's still a God. So they're still making claims about something, which means they have a closed mind. What happens when you believe something ahead of time and then you go look? Okay, everybody seeks. But are you seeking with an open mind, which says, I don't know what's there, I'm going to process everything I can? Or are you seeking with a closed mind that says, I already have a belief, and I'm going to go find whatever fits it, and I'm going to dismiss everything that doesn't? That's a closed mind, and it's not critical thinking. Christians, when you say you have an open mind and you think critically, you do not. That's the worst thing you can say. You just think it through. If you had an open mind, you would say, well, abiogenesis must be true. God must be true, or could be true. That evolution could be true. That all of these things, that's an open mind. A closed mind starts denying things. You start asking questions like, why did God create dinosaurs millions of years ago and let them rule the planet for longer than we just showed up? There's too many things that don't make sense. To have an open mind is to look at and examine things. And to use critical thinking is to think through all of the processes until you have it figured out in your mind. And we just use critical thinking to determine that they're not using critical thinking and that they're not working with an open mind. Militant atheists the same way. That's not an open mind. There's a conviction of something there or people that say there is, physical only. The physical sense is that there's nothing in the energy realm. There's no connection, something like that. There is a connection. We are in a collective. So that is there. People that say that's not there, that they're as close-minded as people who say that there's magic spiritual something there. That's the collective psyche that they're sensing. It's there, all right. They just don't know what it is. You can go to any culture in the world and believe their religion and feel that same thing. Guess why? We all are there. It's a collective. We can believe it is something different to help us live life, as long as it helps you live life and you don't use it to hurt other people. But that's really happening today. Although I think if religion wasn't there, we're still evolving. It would still be happening. That religion's just an excuse for some people. And of course, when I say this, not everybody fits that category. There's a point where, I've said this before, Christianity is an idol worship religion. What is worshiping an idol? It is having something that is some symbol there that represents some kind of God in the background that you believe in, that you're giving stuff to and paying homage to give you something. But this God is a statue on the ground. Although the statue on the ground is a representative of the God somewhere else. They don't think this statue is the God. They think this statue represents or embodies their God. But all of the things you're doing is because your life is crazy. You got famine. You got other things going on. Babies die. And what you're doing is giving gifts to God to appease that God so that that God will hopefully grace you. That's what idol worship is. I would say this, just Try for a second to put yourself in God's shoes and what would be important to you if you truly were God, if there was a God. What would be the most important thing to you? That you looked around and you saw all of the people were taking care of each other and they were loving one another and doing good, or that they were hating each other, but there's a group of them that bow down and worship you? What's your preference? The God of Abraham is the second one. What happens when you get to Christianity? And how many denominations are there? If there's that many denominations, if God has a word and Jesus has a teaching, how come there are so many people? Shouldn't there be one denomination? We follow Jesus. There are thousands upon thousands. And what did Paul say? As long as you worship Jesus, accept him into your heart, know that he's the Son of God, was born to a virgin, died for you on the sins, and you worship him, boom, you're absolved from your sins that you were born with, that you're going to go to hell for because you've done that now. And, critically think that through. Truthfully, what I've done is isolate. I recognize Jesus's teachings as something like a Buddha or a Lao Tzu. So I took his teaching out of the New Testament and found and realized what was going on. Jesus is a Buddha-like teacher. He found his Buddha nature. It's called the Christ nature. When Buddha emerged from under the Bodhi tree, enlightened, that's like Jesus emerging from the tomb, now pure white, elevating up. So Jesus' very core material is this pathway to inner peace, to inner healing. And then it's nested in a way that is a religion for the area it's fitting with Abrahamic religion. But that's a nesting process. So it's a religion that is a shell carrying the template. Now, Jesus, as you go through his material, never ever says, just worship me as the Son of God and I've got this for you. Just worship me. He didn't say that. Where did that come from? That came from Paul, who claims that he saw Jesus in a vision on the road, some years after his death. So here's this claim, a supernatural claim that I saw Jesus and I learned, and here's what we do. And what happens is everything that Jesus said, here's my rules, here's what you live by, was being told by the church. Nah, just join us and worship him and you're good to go. So that's why it's an idol worship religion. Now, I should be clear. That's it at its worst. You can still be a Christian who says, I'm going to do what Jesus says. You can follow Jesus. You don't have to. You only have to worship him. Again, thousands upon thousands of different denominations. That's not people following the teaching. That's people making the teaching follow them. All right, I guess I just wanted to say that. The conversations, I was frustrated with people here where you're trying to teach them, and you can't. They will use those terms. As soon as something comes up that they like the sounds of, that becomes it too. I've noticed this trend lately where online Christians are continually talking about science this, science that, this can't, that can't, science, this is impossible. And you look at that and step back and go, a critical thinker would say, if you had something to demonstrate, you wouldn't be trying to put down science. You would be showing what you have instead. You don't have anything to show, so instead you go against whatever is the functioning game in town and try to discount it. So when a religious person is communicating with science terms, but science is not communicating with religious terms, what the hell does that tell us when critically thinking? Now, that's only part of the trend. There's also another core that is actually the opposite, who says, because science this and science that, they're actually using and accepting science if it supports their claim. But again, you're going to find cherry picking. They will grab science and say, this science right here supports our supernatural claims. At the same time, they will say that science, all that other science does not. So get that out of here. So there's a cherry picking going on, and you look at it and you realize there's just a disingenuousness behind it. Somebody could be sitting there with the best intention. I don't think they're trying to lie. They don't know what they're doing is finding data points that they can make sound like it supports them, but they're still claiming that in the background there's something supernatural, and they're using what to support it? Natural. It's not going to work. And I'll tell you why. Let's think it through critically. If you can explain it, it's not supernatural. It's natural. If God, angels, demons, all that are out there, then they are natural. To call them supernatural is to say they're there and there's nothing you can do about it. Science is seeking and knocking for righteousness, open-minded. Christians are not. They're carrying the ark, not looking inside, as it were. Other material. There is something in the Bible, but it's a path to inner peace, nested in an outward belief system of supernatural that just keeps people living life that'll never turn inward. It gives them something to guide with. Okay, and I guess that's it. I know that it's going to still continue, that people who don't know what those terms mean are not seeking the truth at all, have a belief system, believe that they're right, have got their mind shut down to anything else, and call themselves open-minded, and you have a closed mind because you're not with them. Meanwhile, it frustrates me because as people do that, it sounds to me like somebody is telling me, close your mind. Come on, close your mind. Buddy, close your mind. That's what it feels like when somebody's saying you need to believe in God. You know, another not so subtle part of this is you're trying to communicate with people and you're really treating people, you're open, you got this equality going on. And I had a conversation with somebody recently. We exchanged quite a bit and it was pleasant. And he's a theist and I'm trying to teach that there's patterned material in here that has a purpose, that's patterned on the human life cycle that we need to look at. Doesn't matter what you say. People don't see that. But the guy, in the end, I said, yeah, I don't even know why I'm posting these things. And I go back to, as we're having this conversation, what I notice is that all of his comments are up there and mine are not visible. So I'm like, I don't even remember and it's pretty big. So it's like, I can't have this conversation here. Anybody sees is his comments to me. It's like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. But he said, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Thanks. Appreciate it. Nice conversation, all that. No anger. It was, intelligent, all that sort of things. But I realize as people that don't believe in God, that they believe themselves to be God, and then went on like that. And I was like, dude, you were doing pretty good, saying very nice things. Then all of a sudden you insinuate that if I don't believe in your God, that I think that I am God. That's a logical fallacy. You see a lot of that kind of stuff, and you're like, that's a person getting angry. They're taking stabs at you. They're doing stuff. And then other people listen to them and go, oh, that dude over there thinks he's God. Meanwhile, you're like, what? Where do you get this from? Why do you got to be that way? Yeah, it's frustrating and then you look at it and go, okay, here's what it is. It's somebody that has a belief, they have confidence with it, so much so, their knowledge is so minimal of other things. They're on a little pinnacle someplace that's their local pinnacle, but they don't realize if they came off that pinnacle and looked around, there's big, huge mountains out here that they haven't even climbed yet. But in their mind, they're above you. They're looking down upon you. So you got sanctimony, you've got I'm better than you, I'm above you, all of that kind of stuff. We've seen that. I'll pray for you. Oh, bless your heart, all that kind of stuff that are those ways of taking a dig at you from somebody sitting there thinking that they're on a high horse when you step back and realize they're on a broomstick pony. It's like, why? Yeah, you got to treat people like that, and then you think you're making some sort of an impression about the religion. If I was to say it completely blunt, I would say that anybody who is an Abrahamic, from Judaism all the way down to Islam, that or Mormonism doesn't have the template in there. Joseph Smith didn't know it was there, but any of those, in that evolution of Abrahamic material right there, by default, you cannot have an open mind because you're committed to something that is supernatural. And you don't use critical thinking because you're committed to something that is supernatural. You pick and choose data points to support supernatural claims. That's evident. And quite often, accompanied with that is the denial of other scientific claims because they don't support it. Those are never terms for a theist to use when they're referring to theism itself. You can use it about your automobile repair or, that kind of stuff, your hobbies, what you need to develop, what you need to design or work on. But when it comes to supernatural claims, you can't use those. All right, I'm going to let this be the end of it. Critical thinking and open minds. Think it through. And if you're committed to something, make sure you can demonstrate it. If it's a theory, tell everybody it's a theory. Or tell everybody you have faith in it. Don't go grab somebody else's terms, try to inject them into your supernatural and think that that's going to work. You got to find some evidence within your own claims. Don't let science do all your work for you. You see what you're doing there? Yeah. Why? Why is that? Critical thinking will get you to the answer. See you in the next video.